The 5th century BC marked the Golden Age of Athens, a beacon of culture and naval supremacy. Under Pericles, Athens flourished politically and culturally, shaping the Delian League into an empire. Athens' naval supremacy allowed it to dominate trade routes and project power across the Aegean. Meanwhile, Sparta maintained its formidable land army and rigid military ethos, a stark contrast to Athens. Sparta, leader of the Peloponnesian League, prepared its allies for the inevitable clash with Athens. Athens used its naval dominance to collect tribute from allies, funding monumental public works like the Parthenon. The iconic Parthenon symbolized Athens' wealth, culture, and divine favor during its Golden Age. Athens' democracy thrived, fostering debate, philosophy, and civic engagement among its citizens. The rivalry between Athens and Sparta created a powder keg that would engulf the Greek world in conflict. Sparta's warriors, trained from youth, embodied discipline and martial excellence. Athens projected its power across the seas, ensuring trade dominance and military readiness. Sparta relied on land-based military might and strict organization to counter Athens' influence. Trade and economic prosperity fueled Athens' Golden Age, enriching its citizens and allies. Intellectual and artistic achievements flourished, from philosophy to architecture, defining an era. The ideological and strategic contrast between Athens and Sparta was stark and inescapable. Athens maintained a well-trained navy and militia to protect its empire and allies. Sparta planned meticulously, ensuring its land-based power could challenge Athens' dominance. The competition for dominance over Greece created tensions that would ignite into a devastating conflict. The rivalry of land and sea powers, democracy and oligarchy was setting the stage for conflict. The clash of these two superpowers was inevitable, destined to tear apart the fabric of Hellenic civilization. In 431 BC, simmering tensions erupted into the Peloponnesian War, reshaping the Greek world. Athens relied on its long walls to stay connected to Piraeus, ensuring supply and security by sea. Sparta, with its elite hoplite army, invaded Attica, aiming to force Athens into a decisive land battle. Athens used its naval power to raid Spartan territory and harass its allies from the sea. The Spartan strategy focused on devastating the Athenian countryside, pressuring Athens into open combat. Athens fortified itself, stockpiling provisions and preparing for a prolonged struggle against the Spartans. Spartan invasions brought devastation to the Athenian countryside, aiming to break the city's resolve. Athens' naval raids harassed Spartan allies and disrupted supply lines, exploiting their maritime advantage. Pericles guided Athens with strategy and wisdom, advocating caution and reliance on naval strength. In 430 BC, a plague struck Athens, claiming thousands, including Pericles, weakening the city's strength. Both sides faced hardships. Spartans struggled to sustain long campaigns in enemy territory. Athens' naval dominance allowed it to raid and secure supplies, keeping the city prepared for the siege. Spartan invasions left devastation, aiming to erode Athenian morale and force a decisive engagement. Athenians reinforced their defenses, displaying resilience and unity despite the war's pressures. The historian Thucydides documented the horrors and political complexities of this ideological conflict. Naval engagements became crucial as Athens leveraged its fleet against Spartan allies. Spartan leaders sought ways to counter Athens' maritime advantage while pressing land assaults. The plague ravaged Athens, killing thousands, including its visionary leader Pericles, and altering the course of the war. Despite the hardships, neither side achieved decisive victory, prolonging the war across decades. The ideological clash of Athens and Sparta, documented by Thucydides, would define an era of conflict and resilience. The war continued with victories and defeats. Athens and Sparta locked in a deadly struggle across land and sea. Despite the plague, Athens achieved remarkable naval victories, even capturing Spartan hoplites on Sphacteria. Sparta, under brilliant commanders like Brasidas, mounted successful campaigns against Athenian allies. Urged by Alcibiades, Athens launched a massive expedition to Sicily, aiming to conquer Syracuse. Alcibiades convinced Athens to commit a vast fleet and thousands of soldiers to the Sicilian campaign. The fleet approached Sicily, unaware of the catastrophic challenges that awaited them. The expedition faltered as Athenians faced fierce resistance from Syracuse and strategic missteps. Nature and battle combined to devastate the Athenian fleet, sealing the expedition's failure. The Sicilian expedition ended in catastrophic defeat, with thousands of Athenian soldiers lost. Athens faced immense losses, with morale shattered and resources depleted. Alcibiades was recalled to Athens, leaving the expedition vulnerable and leaderless. The Persian Empire saw opportunity, funding Sparta to challenge Athens' naval supremacy. With Persian support, Sparta built a navy capable of challenging Athens on the sea. Athenians realized the strategic tide was shifting, with new threats emerging on multiple fronts. Other Greek city-states, sensing Athens' weakness, began revolting and questioning their allegiance. Athens struggled to recover, rebuilding its fleet and fortifying positions for the continuing conflict. Alliances brought new soldiers to Athens, though the challenges remained immense. Sparta honed its forces for renewed challenges, determined to capitalize on Athenian weakness. Athenians feared the growing alliance of Sparta and Persia, which threatened their naval dominance. The Peloponnesian War raged on, with fortunes shifting like the waves, leaving Athens and Sparta locked in an endless struggle.
Persian intervention, initially cautious, would soon tip the scales in Sparta's favor. Persian gold flowed to Sparta, enabling the construction and maintenance of a formidable fleet. A brilliant Spartan admiral, Lysander, emerged as the architect of a new naval strategy. Persian funding allowed Sparta to overcome its traditional naval weaknesses. Lysander cultivated strong ties with Persian satraps, securing crucial support. With newly funded fleets, Lysander was ready to challenge Athens at sea. Athens realized a new threat was approaching, one backed by Persian wealth and strategy. Lysander's mastery of naval warfare allowed Sparta to strike with precision and strategy. Spartan forces began outmaneuvering Athens, testing their naval supremacy. His tactical genius allowed precise coordination and effective strikes against Athenian ships. Athenian forces struggled to keep their fleet operational under constant Spartan assault. Lysander targeted Athenian grain supplies, threatening starvation and morale. For Athens, the loss of its fleet meant not just military defeat, but the threat of starvation. Lysander successfully outmaneuvered and captured several Athenian fleets. Athens' naval power and confidence eroded, signaling a turning point in the war. Lysander's strategic acumen ensured continued Spartan dominance at sea. Athens struggled to respond, but the combined pressure of Spartan skill and Persian funding was overwhelming. The blockade tightened, cutting off Athenian access to critical resources and allies. Victory after victory, Lysander's leadership reshaped the war in Sparta's favor. The balance of power had shifted decisively, marking the rise of Sparta and Lysander's dominance at sea. In 405 BC, the Athenian fleet rested near Aegospotami, unaware of the danger looming. The Athenians had grown complacent, unaware of Lysander's careful surveillance. Lysander, patient and cunning, waited for the perfect moment to strike.
The Spartan fleet, bolstered by Persian gold, shadowed the Athenians silently. The Athenians followed a predictable routine, unknowingly exposing their vulnerability. He prepared for a surprise attack, ensuring every ship knew its role. Lysander's fleet closed in silently, poised to strike the unprepared Athenians. The Athenians were caught off guard, chaos consuming their ranks. Spartan precision struck hard, ramming and capturing Athenian vessels. Most Athenian ships were beached and vulnerable, their crews scattered and unprepared. Thousands of Athenian sailors were captured or killed in the sudden onslaught. Only 12 ships, including the sacred Pericles, managed to escape the massacre. Lysander's fleet executed a complete encirclement, leaving no escape. Lysander's patience and cunning ensured the destruction of the Athenian navy. The remaining Athenian crews faced capture or death as their lifeline was obliterated. The battlefield told the story of complete annihilation. Athens' naval power destroyed. Spartans displayed their conquest, signaling the end of Athens' maritime empire. The Pericles carried the grim news back to Athens, a city unprepared for its fate. Athens awaited news, unaware that its empire and naval supremacy had come to an abrupt end. The Battle of Aegospotami marked the crushing defeat of Athens, sealing Sparta's dominance at sea. The news of Aegospotami spread quickly, casting Athens into despair. From Piraeus to the city, a wail of lamentation filled the streets. Athens' leaders realized the magnitude of the disaster at Aegospotami. The long walls, once a symbol of security, now became a prison. King Pausanias completed the encirclement, cutting off Athens completely. With no grain, Athens was trapped, its people starving and helpless. Athens' lifeline, its navy and trade, had been destroyed. Defenders, once proud, were worn down by hunger and despair. The city's youngest and oldest bore the heaviest burdens of starvation. Spartans controlled the land, enforcing a complete blockade. Some tried to find food through daring efforts, but all was scarce. The city, once proud and vibrant, was reduced to suffering and fear. Athens was encircled, with no hope of external relief. Leaders debated surrender, aware that Athens could not endure much longer. Sparta imposed harsh and humiliating terms upon the defeated city. Athenians surrendered, their city humbled after decades of glory. Spartans took control, enforcing their dominance across the humbled city. The proud Athenians, once rulers of the seas, humbled before their conquerors. The once mighty city lay humbled, its empire and power erased. Athens had fallen, its golden age concluded, a cautionary tale of hubris and war. The news of Aegospotami spread quickly, casting Athens into despair. From Piraeus to the city, a wail of lamentation filled the streets. Athens' leaders realized the magnitude of the disaster at Aegospotami. The long walls, once a symbol of security, now became a prison. King Pausanias completed the encirclement, cutting off Athens completely. With no grain, Athens was trapped, its people starving and helpless. Athens' lifeline, its navy and trade, had been destroyed. Defenders, once proud, were worn down by hunger and despair. The city's youngest and oldest bore the heaviest burdens of starvation. Spartans controlled the land, enforcing a complete blockade. Some tried to find food through daring efforts, but all was scarce. The city, once proud and vibrant, was reduced to suffering and fear. Athens was encircled, with no hope of external relief. Leaders debated surrender, aware that Athens could not endure much longer. Sparta imposed harsh and humiliating terms upon the defeated city. Athenians surrendered, their city humbled after decades of glory. Spartans took control, enforcing their dominance across the humbled city. The proud Athenians, once rulers of the seas, humbled before their conquerors. The once mighty city lay humbled, its empire and power erased. Athens' total humiliation marked the end of its empire and the darkest days under the 30 tyrants. The Peloponnesian War left Athens in ruins, a shadow of its former glory. The iconic long walls were gone, symbolic of Athens' shattered defenses. Athens' democracy had been dismantled, leaving a void in governance and hope. Fear gripped the city, and whispers of resistance were muted by terror. Though the tyrants would fall, the scars of conquest remained visible everywhere. Athenians began to rebuild, though their empire and influence had faded. Democracy was eventually restored, but Athens would never regain its Golden Age dominance. Sparta briefly dominated Greece, but controlling an empire proved fleeting and difficult. Unchecked ambition led to Spartan overreach and eventual decline. Athens' economic lifeblood was shattered, leaving trade and prosperity in ruins. Yet even in devastation, the spirit of learning and democracy endured. Greece remained unstable as Sparta struggled to maintain its hegemony against other states. The weakened Greek states became vulnerable, setting the stage for Macedonian ascendancy. The memory of Athens' Golden Age lingered, a poignant reminder of lost glory. Despite destruction, reconstruction efforts signaled the resilience of the city. The new city embodied the legacy of Athens, resilience, and strategic foresight. The courage and sacrifice of Athens became immortalized in history. The partnership between Athenians and their allies became a symbol of unity and resilience. The fall of Athens marked the end of an era, a cautionary tale of ambition, hubris, and the fragility of power.